Now let's look at the assignment operator. These are the assignment operators. The first one is this initialization operator or assignment operator. This is plus equals, negative equals, multiplication equals, and division equals. For us to understand these assignment operators, we need to write some programs. Let's start. So let's say we have a counter initialized to 10. This is assignment operator. We assign 10 to counter. So if I print counter, you see the output as 10. So I'm very sure that we are all familiar with this. Now we want a user to enter an incremental value or increment value. So say increment is the variable that will store the increment value equals input, enter the increment value. So this increment value is a number, so we have to convert to integer. So wrap this as an integer, int. Now what I want to achieve is this. Anytime the user enters the increment value, I want to add the increment value to the counter and adjust the final value of the counter. So say counter, which is the final value of the counter, equals to the present value of the counter, which is 10, plus the increment value that is added. This is just a way to write the counter up, whereby you increase a particular value by 1, by 1, by 1, or you decrease a particular value by 1, by 1. So now we have the current counter value, which is 10, plus the increment I want to make. Let's say I'm making an increment of 2. Then the 2, store it and let it be the final counter value. So if I print this, I'll say print counter. So this would give me, okay, let's try to run the program. Let me say the counter value, the increment value is 2. So the final value here is 12. So what it does is very simple. The increment is 2 plus the current counter value, which is 10. Now store it as the final counter value. So if I print counter, it will print 12, not 10 again. So now let's start with this plus equals. So we can turn this to something like this. We can just say, okay, let's comment this. So we can say counter plus equals, then what is the value I want to add to the counter? So we just say increment. So it's the same thing as saying take the current counter value, add increment, which is the 2 I entered, then let the final counter value be the addition of the increment plus the counter. So this is the short form of writing this. So let's run. Enter a counter value 2, then the final answer is 12. So I can also decrement. Say enter the decrement value. So instead of using plus, I'll use negative here. Then instead of using plus here, I'll use negative. So if you run the value, enter the decrement value 2, so you expect 8. So it will subtract 2 from the current and store the final as the counter. We can also do the same for multiplication and division. So here we have multiplication. So enter the multiplication value. So here we have multiplication. So the same thing we wrote here is the same thing that is down here. So we have counter multiplied by equals increment. So you expect that the multiplication value will be 2 times 10 in case I enter 2, let's run. So multiplication value, let's say we have 2. So 2 times 10, that is 20. The same thing is applicable to division. Just remove this, put your division, then it will perform the division for you.